Hi, Preston Bigley here. This is my cultural movie review for International Management with Dr. Stanfill. So the movie I watched was The Edge of Democracy. Just a quick little recap, summary. It was just about, the political constraints that are going on in Brazil right now, and how there has been a lot of corruption, and it's a very hot political environment, and just talks about how the people are dealing with it and where they're headed, what they've gone through the past decade. Very powerful film. So to talk about the first Hofstede's cultural dimension, I'm going to talk about the fact that Brazil is ranked as a very low individualistic country. They're very low on the individualism scale in the Hofstede's dimension. I'm going to say that this was affirmed. They are very collectivistic, as shown by the film and my observations. One of the examples I can talk about is when the directors for the documentary go out into the streets and they're asking the citizens what they feel about the social programs that the government has put in place for the citizens. And a lot, or actually all of the people, they talk about how the social programs are benefiting or negatively affecting their family, their surrounding environment, their loved ones, their friends. They're not talking about how it's affecting them. They're talking about how it's affecting us, we. And for example, this one lady said, I can't read or write, but I can pay for my kids to study. Another person said, my sister has been able to do nursing school. My daughter is doing nutrition. They didn't mention anything about themselves. They were only referring to we. And I think this affirms that they are low on the individualism scale in the Hofstede's cultural dimension. The next thing I'm going to talk about is that they are ranked relatively high in the power distance part of the Hofstede's cultural dimension. And I think this again was affirmed because there are many instances in the film when the Brazilian citizens, they talk about, it's just an accepted norm that there's people with a lot of money and a lot of power and they make all the decisions. And then there's people on the low end of the financial and social status. And they just kind of abide by what the people at power say, and they don't really say anything. They don't really fire back. And a lot of people said, not only have we accepted this, or not only that we have admitted and accepted this, but we've almost just kind of want it this way. It seems like the most effective way of doing things. It's almost like a lot of people haven't really seen the other part of it, where there doesn't need to be as much a higher power distance. So that was incredibly interesting to see. Another thing about the power distance was Da Silva, who was this prominent Brazilian president who ran his campaign off of being a part of that lower social status. Like, we need someone who's a lower income, lower social status, blue-collar worker in politics. But once he entered the politics, he became a part of that elite very quickly. And I think that shows that when the power distance is so prevalent in a society, it's very easy to go from all the way at the bottom to all the way at the top. Obama even referred to Da Silva in the film as one of the most popular politicians on earth. And I think that's incredible that is coming from Brazil. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the globe dimension. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is humane orientation. And this is an interesting one to me because there was a rise by a lawyer named Sergio Moro and the car wash operation. And it was designed to expose corruption, bribery, and fraud in the government. And it gained immense popularity because it was designed to take out the selfishness of the political figures and try to implement policies and people that are for the well-being of the society. Many people love this, and I think that speaks to the higher humane orientation of the Brazilian culture. However, if you look at the globe dimension, you see that Brazil actually falls high in that they value humane orientation, but they very rarely put it in practice. And you can kind of see this because there were so many people who were opposed to Morrow in the car wash operation, which was designed to be fair and caring and show altruism. And I think this speaks to the cognitive dissonance of their humane orientation as a society. Next, I'm going to talk about performance orientation of the globe dimension. And I think that this is observed most clearly in the distinction between the two parties that are battling politically in Brazil. One party is about capitalism, it's about conservatism, competition, and performance determines wealth. The other is more socialist, right? We're all in this together, which kind of de-emphasizes performance and achievement mightily. And so it's interesting to see that, here we got two radical sides, and when you have two radical sides, there's usually everything kind of falls into equilibrium. And that's right on cue on where they fall for the performance orientation, which is around average compared to other countries. So now I'm going to talk about the Hans cultural dimension, which I can't really say the last name, Hans. So I'm going to talk about neutral versus effective. Brazil ranks slightly towards effective, meaning that they'll show their emotions in formal settings, and it's accepted. But after watching this video, I'm surprised that they're not way more towards effective. Because, and even in these congressional meetings, they're showing so much raw emotion. People are going wild. There's fights being break out. There's chanting. It was almost like watching fans of a huge sporting match. And to me, that congressional meetings are supposed to be one of the most professional, business-like, formal places in your society, in your environment. And the fact that they were showing so much emotion there, I wouldn't be surprised if when these next, set of rankings come out, that they, go more towards effective and away from neutral. So next I'm going to talk about specific versus diffuse. Brazil ranks in the middle between the two. This was actually one of the hardest things to observe in the film because the film is about politics, right? And politics and personal lives go so hand in hand, right? Because one affects the other. The personal lives affect politics, politics affects the personal lives. So, and especially in an emotionally hot political environment like Brazil, so it was kind of hard to differentiate, how people, don't or do mix professional and personal together. So I'm actually very excited to kind of do my own personal research following this assignment to get that answer question, to kind of answer my questions I have on that. One other cultural behavior that was very cool, that I did kind of anticipate, but it came to fruition as the film went on. Brazil's a very touchy society, right? They'll touch people's face when they're talking to them. They'll kind of even kiss them on the cheek, touch their back. It's a way of them expressing themselves. So that was very cool. I love that, and I'm a very touchy guy when I talk. So if I ever go there, I'm excited for that. So yeah, I had some views that were challenged. That U.S. is not alone in this political warfare. There's Brazilian people are involved in politics, and the media plays a big role. I did not believe that about Brazil. That view was challenged, that it's very similar to how the U.S. is operating right now. Views that were validated was that Brazilian people are very passionate about their country. Also, it's important to speak English, and family is very important. These views that were validated, I kind of had preconceived because of my friendships with Brazilian friends. So those were validated. But my overall thoughts on Brazil was that, in this film, was that not only did my perception change in Brazil, but it changed overall. That people are like us, right? There's corruption, there's people who want to weed out the corruption, and then there's people fighting for change. And that was awesome to see, and I love this assignment, so I appreciate it. I'm at my 10-minute mark, so thank you very much.